Hmm.
Chichen Itza was a large pre-Columbian city built by the Maya people of the Terminal Classic period. The archaeological site is located in Tinome Municipality, Yucatan State, Mexico. Chichen Itza was one of the largest Maya cities, and it was likely to have been one of the mythical great cities or Tolans, referred to in later Mesoamerican literature. The city may have had the most diverse population in the Maya world, a factor that could have contributed to the variety of architectural style at the site. The ruins of Chichen Itza are federal property, and the site's stewardship is maintained by Mexico's Instituto Nacional de Antropología y Historia, or the National Institute of Anthropology and History. The land under the monuments had been privately owned until March 29, 2010, when it was purchased by the state of Yucatan. Built by the pre-Columbian Maya civilization sometime between the 8th and 12th centuries AD, the building served as a temple to the deity Kukulkan, the Yucatek Maya feather serpent deity closely related to Quetzalcoatl, a deity known to the Aztecs and other central Mexican cultures of the post-classic period. It has a substructure that likely was constructed several centuries earlier for the same purpose.
That is on top is a cenote. So inside is a cenote where they have offerings, right? So they found discovered that the stairs technically they are alleyway or go direction to the cardinal points, in this case the north, south, east, and west. If you remember in the map, on top was a secret cenote. This one, later on they found out that this side, in some directions, they are more.
The temple consists of a series of square terraces with stairways up each of the four sides to the temple on top. Sculptures of plumed serpents run down the sides of the northern balustrade. Around the spring and autumn equinox, the late afternoon sun strikes off the northwest corner of the temple and casts a series of triangular shadows against the northwest balustrade, creating the illusion of the feathered serpents crawling down the temple. To contemporary visitors, the event has been very popular and is witnessed by the thousands at the spring equinox, but it is not known whether the phenomenon is a result of a purposeful design, since the light and shadow effect can be observed without major changes during several weeks near the equinox. Scientific research leads since 1998 suggests that the temple mimics the chirping sound of the quetzal bird when humans clap their hands around
Where
it.
is the cenote?
The researchers
Cenote?
argue that this phenomenon is not
Thank you.
accidental, that the builders of this temple felt divinely rewarded by the echoing effect of the structure. Technically, the clapping noise rings out and scatters against the temple's high and narrow limestone steps, producing a chirp-like tone that declines in frequency. All four sides of the temple have approximately 91 steps, which, when added together and including the temple platform on top as the final step, may produce a total of 365 steps. The steps on the south side of the temple are eroded. That number is equal to the number of days of the half year and likely is significantly related to rituals. The main characteristic of the structure are the ample vaulted spaces held up by columns. It is probable that the function of this plaza was civic and religious. Its construction is dated in the late Classic or early post-Classic periods. It has a drainage system that gathers water and stores it in a natural depression northeast of the plaza. Besides the main buildings, there are approximately 40 plants, a basis or foundation, which were built with stone from the buildings already in disuse in the plaza. These are the remains of constructions built of perishable materials and must have served very different purposes than the original buildings, since the spaces are very much reduced, perhaps as a center for humble inhabitants, living amidst the ruins of what was once a great city. The restored pillar here was found lost among the aforementioned plants. This is a small pyramid formed by four tiered plants, or base or foundation, with a building on top where there are some rectangular altars supported by small atlases, from whence comes the name of the structure. The access steps lie to the west, the principal side. There are representations of warriors on the door jambs, as well as on the temple pillars. On the upper part of the outside walls, there are friezes with plumed serpents and jaguars. These constructions cover an earlier one, rich in decoration with serpents and the bolting and warriors on the pillars. It is now partially accessible to visitors.
This one handmade, not machine. This one my work. This market is a more expensive. Take a look.
The group of the thousand columns is actually a temple. a very beautiful and impressive structure connected to the Temple of the Warriors that get its name because it looks like it has lots of columns, but actually there are only about 200 columns of them. This is what remains of what probably supported a flat roof, according to Toltec custom. Also, the group of the thousand columns, as in El Castello and other construction of Chichen Itza, the typically Mayan pyramidal structure adds a new elements formed by colonnades of surprising lightness and iconographic elements related to the military orders and the cult of the feathered serpents. The group of the thousand columns is a vast plaza that has the shape of an irregular quadrilateral about 150-meter long, with some structures on the east side and in the south, including the so-called Mercado, which closes the plaza on those sides. On the west side, there is a colonnade formed by 4 rows of columns made of stone drums on which the beams that supported the boats rested, and which ran northward through the portico of the Temple of the Warriors, while on the north side ran another porch with 5 rows of columns, seated on a platform 2.20 meter high. Certain cenotes contain a large number of human remains, including both males and females, and young children or infants. Evidence from Maya mythology suggests that many young victims, most aged 6 to 12, were male, while the classical images of female Maya sacrifice being flung alive to drown in a cenote are pervasive. Writings on the subject suggest that most sacrificial victims, juveniles who were either purchased or captured while their parents were working in the fields, warriors captured in battle, or elites captured during conflicts with neighboring clans, were usually, though not always, killed prior to being thrown into the cenote, and in many cases dozens of miles from the cenotes in which their bodies were eventually deposited. Only a certain set of cenotes were used in this way, while others were reserved for domestic purposes. This suggests that Maya religious officials believed that only certain cenotes led to the underworld, and sacrifices placed in other would serve no purpose. It also suggests that the status of the victims as alive or dead was unimportant. The occasional appearance of human remains in non-sacrificial cenotes can be attributed to rare errors in judgment on the part of the shaman. The actual pattern by which a particular victim remains became interred in which cenotes remained a point of conjecture.
All right. Good. Gracias.
Estamos igual con Corea. Y con eso.
edition.
The Ixtolok Temple in Chichen Itza received its name because it's located next to the cenote with the same name, the second largest cenote in the center of Chichen Itza. It probably was used in religious ceremonies, perhaps related to the cenote. Its construction dates from 900 to 1200. There are sculptured representations of warriors and priests on the pillars of the temple.
Vamos a ver. ¿Qué quiere hacer? ¿Qué? Más que. Ahí no se puede arrimar. ¡Gordo! ¡No se arrime ahí!
The Ixtolok Temple has an altar in the interior of the third chamber, originally decorated with bas-reliefs of plants, birds, and mythological scenes. A container of offerings with human remains was found beneath the floor. The facade faces west and due to an alignment which includes a simple altar, a path of stone slabs, and a natural rock outcropping, marked by rows of cut stones. The Great Ball Court, the largest and most impressive in Mexico, is only one of the city's 8 courts, indicative of the importance the games held here. The court to the left of the visitor center is flanked by temples at either end and is bounded by towering parallel walls with stone rings cemented up high. Along the walls of the ball court are stone reliefs, including scenes of decapitations of players. There is evidence that the ball game may have changed over the years. Some carvings show players with padding on their elbows and knees, and it is thought that they played a soccer-like game with a hard rubber ball, with the use of hands forbidden. Other carvings show players wielding bats. It appears that if a player hit the ball through one of the stone hoops, his team was declared the winner. It may be that during the Toltec period, the losing captain and perhaps his teammates as well were sacrificed. The court exhibits some interesting acoustics. A conversation at one end can be heard 135 meters away at the other, and a clap produces multiple loud echoes.
I thought that you were there with the group. So. The water is warm already. Yeah, so broke.
Que solamente hay dos lugares.
Hola. What do you got? American food? No? What do you